The research vessel settled quietly on the outskirts of a small American university campus. Hyun and Jae, two alien researchers from the Galactic Academic Consortium, had spent months preparing for this moment. Their mission was simple, yet complex. Understand human sleep patterns. Michael Thompson, a typical 22-year-old college student, became their first unwitting subject. His dormitory room looked like a chaotic landscape of scattered textbooks, half-empty energy drinks, and clothing draped across various surfaces. The aliens' advanced scanning equipment hummed softly, capturing every minute detail of human dormitory existence. Hyun adjusted her translation device, watching Michael through microscopic recording sensors embedded near his bed. The humans' sleep cycle was nothing like the predictable rest patterns of their own species. Where their civilization required precise, scheduled rest periods in controlled environments, this human seemed to defy all known biological rest principles. At precisely 2:37 a.m., something extraordinary happened. Michael's alarm clock began its first assault of sound. A jarring electronic melody erupted through the small room. Most beings would instantly awaken, but Michael merely shifted, pulled a pillow over his head, and continued sleeping. The second alarm came 15 minutes later, louder, more aggressive. Again, Michael's response was minimal. He mumbled something unintelligible, his hand emerging from beneath the blanket to tap around randomly before retreating. Jay's recording devices were capturing every millisecond. His neural processing centers were working overtime, trying to comprehend this bizarre resistance to auditory stimulation. How could a biological organism ignore multiple wake-up signals? The third alarm was a symphony of electronic chaos. Multiple sounds, increasing in volume and complexity, designed to wake even the most exhausted human. Michael's response? A simple grunt, a slight body rotation, and continued deep sleep. Outside the dormitory, morning was breaking. Soft sunlight began filtering through partially closed blinds. Birds chirped. Distant sounds of campus life, students walking, vehicles moving, conversations happening, created a complex audio landscape that would typically disrupt any creature's rest. But not Michael. Hyun zoomed her sensors closer, examining the humans' physiological responses. His brainwaves showed fascinating patterns, cycles of deep rest interrupted by momentary consciousness, then immediate return to sleep. It was as if his brain had developed a sophisticated defense mechanism against external disturbances. A roommate entered, making considerable noise. Bags dropped. A kettle started. Cabinet doors opened and closed. Michael remained perfectly still, his breathing steady and deep. "Impossible," Jay whispered, his translator converting his native language into English. No species should demonstrate such remarkable sleep resilience. Hyun's preliminary notes were filling rapidly. Each observation challenged everything they knew about biological rest. Humans, it seemed, were not just sleeping. They were performing a complex survival strategy that defied conventional scientific understanding. Michael's alarm finally succeeded around 9:42 a.m., but not because of its sound. A smartphone notification about a missed class assignment triggered a sudden explosive awakening. In less than 3 seconds, he transformed from a deeply sleeping organism to a fully alert human, moving with surprising speed and precision. He grabbed his phone, scrolled through messages, and began preparing for his day, all while seemingly having no recollection of the multiple failed wake-up attempts. The aliens exchanged a look of profound scientific excitement. What they were witnessing was more than a sleep study. This was a revelation about human adaptability, resilience, and an almost supernatural ability to manage rest in the most challenging environmental conditions. Michael's room itself was a testament to human complexity. Unlike the sterile, organized environments of advanced civilizations, this space was a controlled chaos. Books, electronics, clothing, all existed in a state of organized disorder that somehow made perfect sense to its inhabitant. As Michael left his dormitory room, the aliens continued their silent observation. Their initial research had already produced more questions than answers. How did humans develop such unique sleep mechanisms? What evolutionary pressures created this remarkable ability to rest amid constant disturbance? The first part of their study had only just begun, but Hyun and Jay knew they were documenting something extraordinary. Humans were not just another species to be cataloged. They were a complex, unpredictable life form with capabilities that defied standard scientific classification. Their report would challenge everything the Galactic Academic Consortium thought they knew about biological rest and survival strategies. The research continued with increasing complexity. Hyun and Jay expanded their study beyond Michael, tracking multiple human subjects across the university campus. Their data collection revealed patterns that seemed completely absurd by galactic scientific standards. They discovered humans had extraordinary sleep adaptation abilities. College students seemed to possess a magical skill of surviving on minimal rest. Some students would study for 18 hours straight, consume massive amounts of caffeine, and then collapse into deep sleep for just 3 to 4 hours before repeating the cycle. One particular subject, named David, demonstrated an incredible ability to sleep in the most uncomfortable positions. The alien researchers watched in disbelief as he slept sitting upright in a library, head resting on an open textbook, neck bent at an angle that would cause permanent damage to most biological species. Their scanning equipment detected something even more fascinating. Humans could transition between sleep states with remarkable speed. Where other species required gradual wake-up processes, these humans could move from deep sleep to full alertness in mere seconds. The caffeine consumption fascinated Jay the most. Humans deliberately introduced a stimulant into their system to fight natural sleep cycles. They would drink dark, bitter liquid called coffee multiple times a day, essentially telling their biological systems to ignore natural rest signals. During night observations, they witnessed even more peculiar behaviors. Some humans practiced something called power napping, a short 15 to 20-minute rest period that seemingly recharged their entire biological system. These quick rest intervals allowed humans to maintain high productivity levels that defied all known scientific understanding. Campus dormitories became their primary research ground. Each room revealed a unique sleep ecosystem. Some students used multiple alarms, some used complex smartphone apps to track their sleep, while others seemed to have no sleep strategy at all. The most shocking discovery came when they tracked sleep patterns during exam periods. Students would engage in what humans called all-nighters, deliberately staying awake for 24 or 36 hours, consuming extreme amounts of caffeine and processed food, then collapsing into marathon sleep sessions. Medical sensors showed something unprecedented. Despite these seemingly harmful sleep disruptions, human bodies showed remarkable recovery abilities. Their biological systems could rapidly reset, heal, and prepare for next challenges without significant long-term damage. Hyun's preliminary report began taking shape. Humans were not just sleeping. They were strategically managing biological energy in ways no known galactic species had ever demonstrated. Their sleep was less about rest and more about survival optimization. They discovered additional strange sleep rituals. Some humans used white noise machines. Others required complete darkness. Some slept with multiple layers of blankets, while others preferred minimal covering. Each individual seemed to have a unique sleep environment requirement. Weekend sleep patterns added another layer of complexity. Many humans would dramatically alter their sleep schedules, staying awake much later and sleeping significantly longer than their weekday patterns. This flexible approach to rest seemed to be a deliberate biological strategy. The most mind-bending observation involved something called sleep deprivation. Humans could consistently push their biological limits, staying awake far longer than any known species. Their bodies would eventually force sleep, but the recovery speed was astounding. Psychological data revealed another fascinating element. Humans seemed to view sleep not just as a biological necessity, but as a negotiable resource. They would willingly trade sleep time for work, study, entertainment, or social interactions. Their research was generating more questions than answers. How did this species develop such extraordinary sleep adaptability? What evolutionary pressures created these remarkable survival mechanisms? Jay's analysis suggested that human sleep patterns were less about rest and more about a complex survival strategy. The ability to quickly adapt, recover, and maintain high functionality under extreme conditions made humans uniquely positioned for challenging environments. As their data collection continued, Hyun and Jay realized they were documenting something far more significant than a simple sleep study. They were uncovering the intricate survival mechanisms of a species that seemed designed to overcome biological limitations. The Galactic Academic Consortium would be both impressed and terrified by their findings. Humans were not just another species to be studied. They were a remarkable example of biological adaptability that challenged everything known about rest, recovery, and survival. Their research was just beginning, but the initial data suggested humans were far more complex than any previous galactic documentation had ever suggested. Hyun and Jay decided to test human sleep patterns directly. Their ambitious plan involved attempting to replicate human sleep behaviors using their own bodies. The experiment would push the boundaries of their biological limitations. Their first challenge was caffeine consumption. They acquired the dark liquid humans called coffee, carefully measuring its composition. The first sip was a shock to their systems, bitter, intense, and immediately stimulating. Where their species required carefully measured nutritional supplements, humans seemed to enjoy this harsh beverage. Within hours, Jay discovered the true power of caffeine. His body entered a state of hyper-alertness unlike anything in his previous experiences. Thoughts raced faster, muscles felt more responsive. The typical biological slowdown that would normally signal rest time was completely overridden. Hyun attempted to follow a typical student sleep schedule. She set multiple alarms, positioned her sleeping area to mimic human dormitory conditions, and tried to adapt to the chaotic rest patterns they had observed. The results were catastrophic. Human sleep appeared deceptively simple, but was incredibly complex. Where their species required precise environmental conditions for rest, humans could sleep in the most unpredictable circumstances. Loud noises, uncomfortable positions, bright lights, none of these seemed to disturb human sleep consistently. Their first night of experimental sleep ended in complete failure. After just 2 hours, both researchers experienced complete neural shutdown. Their bodies, designed for precise and controlled rest, could not comprehend the human approach to sleep. They watched video recordings of their subjects trying to understand the secret. Michael, their primary research subject, could fall asleep in seconds and wake up equally quickly. He seemed to treat sleep as a negotiable resource, something to be managed rather than a strict biological requirement. The caffeine experiments revealed even more complexity. Humans appeared to have developed an entire culture around managing sleep deprivation. Energy drinks, coffee shops, and specialized supplements were everywhere. They had turned sleep management into a sophisticated survival strategy. One particularly interesting observation came from tracking student behavior during exam periods. Humans would deliberately push their biological limits, staying awake for extended periods. They would consume increasing amounts of caffeine, use complex mental techniques to stay alert, and somehow maintain cognitive function. Jay's research logs became increasingly frustrated. Every attempt to replicate human sleep patterns failed, spectacularly. Their bodies would shut down long before achieving the remarkable resilience demonstrated by their human subjects. They discovered humans had developed intricate psychological techniques for managing sleep. Some used meditation. Others had specific music or sound environments that helped them rest. The variability was astounding. What worked for one human completely failed for another. The most shocking experiment involved sleep positioning. Humans could sleep in positions that would cause permanent damage to most biological species. Necks bent at impossible angles, bodies twisted in ways that defied basic anatomical understanding. Yet they would wake up seemingly without issue. Night observations became increasingly complex. Some humans appeared to enter what they called power nap states, short 15-20-minute rest periods that completely recharged their biological systems. No other species in the known galaxy demonstrated such efficient rest strategies. Their research team began to understand that human sleep was less about biological necessity and more about a sophisticated survival mechanism. The ability to quickly transition between rest and high alert states suggested an evolutionary strategy of remarkable complexity. The caffeine experiments continued to produce unexpected results. Where their species would experience complete system failure after prolonged stimulant use, humans seem to have developed intricate metabolic strategies for managing artificial alertness. As weeks passed, Hyun and Jae realized they were documenting something far more significant than a simple sleep study. Humans had transformed sleep from a biological requirement into a strategic resource to be managed, controlled, and occasionally ignored. Their preliminary report would challenge everything. The Galactic Academic Consortium understood about biological rest. Humans were not just surviving. They were demonstrating a level of adaptability that seemed almost supernatural. The experiment was far from over, but already they knew their research would change scientific understanding forever. Humans were not just another species to be studied. They were a remarkable example of biological innovation that defied all previous scientific classification. The research report leaked faster than Hyun and Jae could have ever anticipated. Within days, their preliminary findings spread across multiple galactic communication networks, creating a storm of scientific and diplomatic speculation. The Galactic Academic Consortium first received the report with skepticism. How could a seemingly primitive species demonstrate such extraordinary biological adaptability? Their sleep study challenged everything known about species survival and evolutionary development. Diplomatic channels began buzzing with conversations. If humans could manage such complex sleep and recovery mechanisms, what other unexpected capabilities might they possess? Military strategists started reviewing the research with increasing interest. Several alien civilizations became particularly concerned. The Krelton Council, known for their rigid biological protocols, found the human sleep patterns deeply disturbing. A species that could function on minimal rest, consume stimulants, and rapidly recover from extreme conditions represented an unpredictable potential threat. Communication networks began sharing the most shocking discoveries. Humans could stay awake for extended periods, recover quickly from sleep deprivation, adapt to multiple environmental challenges, operate complex machinery, while experiencing minimal rest. Michael, their primary research subject, became an unintentional symbol of human resilience. His ability to transition between deep sleep and full alertness in seconds fascinated researchers across multiple star systems. The research team's documentation revealed something even more fascinating. Human sleep was not just a biological necessity, but a strategic survival mechanism. They could deliberately manipulate their rest cycles, push biological limits, and recover with remarkable speed. Diplomatic circles started reconsidering potential interactions with humans. Where previous assessments had classified humans as a relatively unremarkable species, this research suggested something entirely different. Humans were not just survivors. They were masters of biological adaptation. University research centers across different star systems requested complete copies of the study. Each page revealed more complex information about human capabilities. Their ability to manage extreme conditions through sleep manipulation suggested an evolutionary strategy of remarkable sophistication. Some alien civilizations became genuinely concerned. A species that could so effectively manage biological limitations represented an unpredictable potential competitor. Their sleep strategies suggested a level of adaptability that could be dangerous in competitive environments. The most intriguing aspect was humans' relationship with technology and rest. They used complex devices to track, manage, and optimize their sleep. Smartphone applications, specialized medical tracking systems, and caffeine consumption were all part of an intricate rest management strategy. Diplomatic reports began suggesting a potential reassessment of human classification. No longer could they be considered a simple, predictable species. Their biological capabilities suggested a level of evolutionary innovation that demanded serious scientific attention. Military strategists found the research particularly interesting. A species that could function on minimal rest, quickly recover from extreme conditions, and maintain high cognitive performance represented a significant potential threat. Human soldiers could potentially operate far beyond standard biological limitations. The Galactic Trade Commission started discussing potential economic implications. If humans could maintain such high productivity through advanced sleep management, they might become significant economic players in interstellar markets. Research teams began requesting more comprehensive studies. The initial findings were so extraordinary that multiple scientific organizations wanted deeper, more extensive documentation about human sleep and recovery mechanisms. Hyun and Jae became unexpected celebrities in scientific circles. Their accidental discovery had opened up an entirely new way of understanding biological adaptation. Universities across different star systems requested their complete research documentation. The most profound implication was philosophical. Humans had transformed sleep from a biological requirement into a strategic resource. They didn't just rest, they managed their biological energy with a level of sophistication that suggested advanced evolutionary thinking. As discussions spread, one thing became clear. Humans were far more complex than anyone had previously understood. Their sleep study was more than a scientific document. It was a window into a species with remarkable, unexpected capabilities. The Galactic Academic Consortium would never be the same. What started as a simple sleep study had transformed into a comprehensive reevaluation of human potential, and Michael, their unsuspecting research subject, remained completely unaware of the galactic conversations his sleep patterns had sparked. The final presentation day arrived with unprecedented anticipation. Researchers from multiple star systems gathered to hear Hyun and Jae's complete findings about human sleep patterns. The conference hall buzzed with nervous energy. Jae stepped forward, his translation device converting his native language into clear, precise English. Years of research had culminated in this moment, a comprehensive understanding of human biological adaptation that would change scientific understanding forever. Their primary conclusion was simple yet revolutionary. Humans were not just another species to be studied. They were masters of biological survival, with sleep mechanisms that defied all known scientific understanding. The presentation began with their most shocking discoveries. Humans could survive on minimal rest, recover from extreme sleep deprivation, manipulate their biological energy systems, adapt to multiple environmental challenges. Michael, their primary research subject, became the unexpected hero of their study. His ability to transition between deep sleep and full alertness had become a benchmark for biological flexibility. Galactic researchers leaned forward, their sensory organs capturing every minute detail. The implications were enormous. A species that could so effectively manage its biological limitations represented something entirely new in evolutionary development. The most fascinating revelation was humans' relationship with technological sleep management. They used complex devices, consumed specific substances like caffeine, and developed intricate strategies to optimize their rest and recovery. Military representatives from various star systems watched with increasing interest. If humans could maintain such high performance with minimal rest, they represented a potentially significant evolutionary advantage in competitive environments. Diplomatic channels had been buzzing for weeks. What started as a simple sleep study had transformed into a comprehensive reevaluation of human potential. Each slide revealed more complex information about their remarkable biological capabilities. Hyun's final analysis cut to the core of their discovery. Humans didn't just sleep. They strategically managed biological energy with a sophistication that suggested advanced evolutionary thinking. Their rest was less about recovery and more about survival optimization. The conference hall fell silent as the implications became clear. Humans were not just another species to be catalogued. They were a remarkable example of biological innovation that challenged everything previously understood about species development. Economic analysts began calculating potential implications. A species with such advanced biological management could potentially revolutionize productivity across multiple sectors. Their ability to push biological limits suggested extraordinary economic potential. Technological representatives found themselves equally fascinated. Humans had developed an entire ecosystem of sleep management technologies, smartphone apps, medical tracking systems, specialized nutrition strategies that allowed them to manipulate their biological rest cycles. The Galactic Academic Consortium's lead researcher stood up, his movements showing clear excitement. "This is more than a research paper," he announced. "This is a window into an entirely new understanding of biological adaptation." Michael, their primary research subject, remained completely unaware of the galactic conversations his sleep patterns had sparked. He continued his college life, unintentionally representing the pinnacle of human biological flexibility. As the presentation concluded, something profound became clear. Humans were not just survivors. They were masters of biological optimization, with a level of adaptability that suggested extraordinary evolutionary potential. The research team's final slide contained a simple statement that would become legendary in scientific circles. Humans do not merely rest. They strategically recover and prepare for potential challenges with an efficiency that defies conventional understanding. Diplomatic representatives from multiple star systems began immediate discussions. The sleep study was no longer just a scientific document. It was a comprehensive reassessment of human potential. Hyun and Jae watched as their research transformed scientific understanding. What had begun as a simple investigation into human sleep patterns had become a revolutionary document that would be studied for generations. The Galactic Academic Consortium would never be the same. Humans had proven themselves to be far more than a simple, predictable species. They were a remarkable example of biological innovation that challenged everything previously known about evolutionary development. As the conference concluded, one thing became absolutely clear. The universe had dramatically underestimated humanity's potential.